and you just wake up and turn over and go back to sleep, or if you're awake already, you kind of look up and say, oh, an earthquake, and go back to what you're doing, and that's what we did during our interview. And then all of a sudden the diet member I was talking to said, wait a minute, this is not an ordinary earthquake. And we tried to get up and walk around her office, and we couldn't because the shocks were so severe. And then we noticed her belongings kind of flying around the room. Things were falling off of shelves and whatnot. And so we evacuated the building like everyone else was doing. And then I wanted to get back on the train and go back to my office, and the trains were stopped. And then I came upstairs, and the traffic wasn't moving properly. So things were starting to seem not like what we're used to. And I ended up walking back to my office, and I saw one of the strangest scenes I've ever seen after many years of living in Tokyo, which is in the middle of the day, offices, restaurants, shops completely emptied out, people mulling around the streets, a lot of them wearing the white helmets, which you may have seen, which are worn during disaster drills. Only this wasn't a drill.
Not a drill at all. And Lucy, help us understand, especially from the perspective, if you remember back to the Southeast Asia tsunami several years back, one of the early questions, were we getting information right away? Were the people who needed help getting the help right away? Maybe it's Hurricane Katrina for many people in the United States and their perspective, and the response of the city or the state or the federal government. From your perspective as a journalist and as someone who has lived in the region, in terms of the communication, the reaction of the government, and the spread of information in Japan, give us your sense of how that's going so far.
There isn't any country in the world that spends as much money, devotes as much energy to disaster prevention as Japan. They spend a humongous amount of money, tens of billions of dollars they spend on disaster prevention, because they have just one natural disaster after another, and it's half the people are living on land that's either at sea level or below sea level, so there's a great public emphasis and interest on investing in this. And you would never get a mandate for this level of public investment in disaster infrastructure like you have here. If the Japanese can't get it right, then one has to not have very much hope. They have sensors planted, and hundreds of sensors are planted to pick up early warnings. This particular quake wasn't picked up early for various reasons, which are just coming to light. But normally, you do get a heads up before a major earthquake is coming. Tsunami information is usually quite good. It's broadcast to you on TV. All the TV stations are constantly running tsunami warnings, earthquake warnings, as soon as the information is available, which is very soon. And then if you're living in the countryside, you're often supplied with a wireless radio that's a connection between you and the local office, the local disaster prevention office. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are done. They have disaster prevention drills in schools and offices. There's a disaster prevention day. It's a really big undertaking here.
Lucy Kraft, we appreciate your helping us not only report this story, but get your eyewitness account as well, especially such a great, thoughtful presentation there at a time when you're under great personal stress trying to wonder about the whereabouts and the health of your son. Please keep in touch with us and know you're in our thoughts and prayers, and we hope you get that phone call from him very soon. So please take care and keep in touch. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. And Lucy was just talking about the warning system. I want to show you a little bit about this. You see the Pacific here, Indonesia down here where the tsunami hit several years back. I want to just show you a little bit. There's a network underneath these purple dots. These are networks on land or here on the ocean floor, seismic detectors. So they detect earthquake activity. And then at the sea level, there are a whole host of others. This is the Japanese system here, these pinkish dots up here. These are actually by the United States out here in cooperation with other partners and other nations as well. And what you have here is on the ocean floor, they detect seismic activity, or on land. You see them in Australia, you see them across Asia here and in the United States. These detect seismic activity, and then all these buoys out at sea, they detect the movements of the waves, and they send signals to a warning system. So when the earthquake hits, things start bubbling around, a tsunami warning goes immediately in every direction. More on this and how this works, and sometimes how it doesn't work, but in this case it appears to have worked quite well as we continue the hour. But when we come back, the United States Senator's wife traveling in Japan. She's in Tokyo. Her eyewitness account next.
song by Paul Beckman, called Rainbow Song. Using the guitar chords E, C sharp minor, F sharp minor, and B7. This song is going to be called If You Lived Through It, You Can Talk About It. Well, if you lived through it, you can talk about it now, oh yeah. You can tell your grandchildren I was in the mighty quake. I got baked, but I survived, yes well, it came pretty close to me. There was the water coming, 30-foot wall of water. Well, what did I do? You might be one of those telling the story how you survived. What did you do? Well, now, I was clever. I got my water wings. I hitched a ride on that wave, going up, down, sideways, everywhere, every which way. I hopped on it and I surfed all the way. Went 30-foot high, inland 6 miles. I said bye, what a surfing mile. And then it went back, well, I slipped back with it too. I rode the wave, how about you? Well, it might be a tall tale to tell your great-grandchildren one day how I survived that earthquake and tidal wave. But if you survive, then you can tell about it anyway. Which way you tell, oh, I'll think about it now. Good thing is you survived, if you survived that day. The earthquake and the tidal wave, tsunami by any other name. Well, it's not funny, but at least I got a song. Well, now you gotta tell yourself, be prepared, earthquake preparedness, yeah. Well, no, it's not dead when one comes along. You gotta know what to do. Good for you, good for you. Oh yeah, I survived. I'll tell my grandchildren I survived. I'll tell my great-great-grandchildren I survived. Well, here I am. Whoa, yeah, whoa. 2011.